Welcome to subscriber Q&A number 7. Nearly forgot the entirety of what I was doing there. I haven't done one of these in a while, but like I said last time, if you were expecting them regularly, you're a moron, because I always give up on my regularly scheduled content. But I won't be giving up on my regularly scheduled D&D content, which is going to be running Dungeons & Dragons, by the way, which is going to be running every Tuesday from next week on. But honestly, by the time I post this, I mean, who the hell knows when I'll get around to uploading this, so it might be from this Tuesday. And also the Foreheads podcast, which runs every Wednesday as well, 1 p.m. PST. I'm starting to become kind of regular with these things, eh? Alright, first question from babyblu. It says, hello, what are your favourite drinks to drink in all of the categories of drink that you drink? For example, my favourite beer is Corona, which she likes to put lemons in for some ungodly reason. Cocktail is Cosmo, etc, etc, etc. What is your favourite amount to be drunk and any moments of pure drunk bliss? Now, I didn't rig this to be a drinking question while I'm 2 glasses of wine and a quarter of a thing of whiskey and rum. Okay, but my favourite beer. Honestly, my favourite beer is a stout called Murphy's. I fucking love it. I think it's fantastic. It's like Guinness, but a better version of Guinness, which might be just because it's a bit sweeter. I'm not sure. Favorite cocktail? I'm partial to a Moscow Mule, but if you're ever in LA, if you're ever in Burbank in particular, if you come to the Blizzard Arena and you come to watch some Overwatch League games, then go to a bar called Guildhall, which is like a esports bar nearby. And they serve a a cocktail called the Semler, which is named after Semler. And it's fantastic. It's got the right amount of habanero to leave like a warm flavour in the back of your throat. And it's like Semler is in your throat. It's got that warm flavour, or that warm feeling that we all know and love Semler for, but it's at the back of your throat. So moving on. Wine, I'm partial to the fucking one from Argentina. What's it called? What's the one from Argentina called? Chat, you're gonna have to help me. I've forgotten. My favorite is my favorite wine. The wine from it's classically from Argentina. Begins with an M. A Malbec. Malbec. I'm partial to a Malbec. I don't even know what an alcopop is, so I'm going to ignore that. My favorite amount to be drunk. My favorite amount of drunk to be. I enjoy getting utterly, unbelievably fucked up, but last year I got so fucked up so often that I was worried about myself. For example, I tried to steal a girl's car, and by tried to I mean I successfully could have driven away with the girl's car whilst drunk, and I didn't want to steal her car, but I did. She was filling up with petrol. She was giving us a lift back home, and I was in the passenger seat, and she got out and went to a petrol station, a gas station, and started filling the car full of gas. And I thought it'd be funny to steal her keys because I was fucked up. And instead, I got into the driver's seat, turned on the engine, which apparently was a complex maneuver which involved pushing down the clutch, turning on the engine, and then starting the gas. I turned on the engine, and Bren shit himself. Bren was in the back seat. This girl was pumping gas into the car, and you should never turn on the engine when people are pumping gas into the car. And I got in the front seat whilst fucked up and turned on the engine and was like, poot, ready to go. So from then on, actually, no, that's not true. Then I also went to BlizzCon, and I got so fucked up that have you guys, presumably if you're an Overwatch fan, you know who Squash is. He's a lovely, lovely guy. One of the super fans that comes to the Blizzard Arena pretty often. And he's pretty tall, and he's chunky. He looks, to me in my drunk state, he looked like a stallion that I wanted to ride into battle. He's a lovely human being. He's the guy that used to dress up in the Reinhardt mask and was eating Lucio's behind Pavane when he was doing an interview. And there are multiple videos of me jumping on his back and saying, "Let me ride you into battle." And then also I had a girlfriend at the time who I severely pissed off that night, I'm sure, with how drunk I was. And then also I started a fight with Mikey A in a bush and called Trid a gnome and stole Lucio's from Aero and I think poured some cereal all over him. Started arm wrestling with Mitch and various other horrific debauchery that I probably can't get into. So I decided this year that I really wouldn't get that drunk. So yeah, that's my so Uber is in my chat and he said, was this when Ash went mental at you? Yes, one of our producers tried to break up a fight between me and Mikey A, the Welsh DPS player who plays in European Contenders. But I know Mike, I've been friends with him for many years, so we weren't really having a fight, but he did lodge me firmly into a bush. And our 90-pound producer, who's fierce, to say the least, I would be scared if she got in the middle of a fight between me and Mike if we were actually having a fight, decided to break it up. So there we go. Okay, next question. That was the first question. CommunistChazza, how many more years do you think Overwatch League will last for? We already know that Overwatch League is still going to be a thing in 2020, but for how many years do you think it will last after that? It really just comes down to the success of the game. So much hinges on the success of the home and away project and like the ambition of it. Everybody was very skeptical about the Overwatch League when it first came in because they had these grand ambitions for doing home and away games, which has never been done in an esport before, and it comes down to how successful they are. A lot of people, I think, will point at like the Dallas homestand and how successful that was, but that was a one-off event that had never happened before inside Texas. It has this incredible battle between the two Texan teams, and so there's still a lot of testing to be done on how popular it is. Now, even if it isn't that popular, the Overwatch League itself as a product, even without the home and away concept, has still been pretty successful. So I think it'll still last for a long time, but esports in general tend to only last for about, even if they're really successful, only last for about 10 years. So I think a 10-year lifespan would be pretty good for the Overwatch League. Now, if something like Overwatch 2 came out, or if the game massively becomes successful with the home and away concept, I could see it lasting for a lot longer, but it's an impossible question to answer, honestly, because who the fuck knows? It comes down to a range of different factors about stuff that we couldn't possibly know yet. Okay, Morphy says, okay, Morphy's literally asking questions about have the casters for the Talent Takedown been decided. So Morphy said, have the casters for the Talent Takedown been decided yet? If not, I'd like to request Super and Avast for the memes. Right? Well, that's already been decided. So there we go. Formation says, what are some differences between UK and US English that confuse you? For example, trashcan versus dustbin, fries versus chips, trunk versus boot, week versus whatever the hell you're using to determine the release schedule of your Q&As. Well, when I read out that question, I didn't realize I was going to be roasted halfway through. Okay, so to answer that question reasonably, without just getting fucking bodied by Formation, I think I've said it on my stream before, but the biggest difference, the biggest thing that tilts me between US and UK English is, first of all, how much US English, for some reason, is just attached to the past. Anything that previously was the case will continue to be the case in terms of pronunciation and sayings from then on for the rest of time. Like holding like when you hold your cards close to your chest, people in the US say close to your vest, apparently. People say herb rather than herb because they're clinging to the fucking French pronunciation of it. People say, what's the other dumb shit that people from the US say, which is like way lost in the past? I don't know. I can't even remember. And what's the other one? What's the other crazy US thing that tilts me? Oh man, the Formation's just brought up could care less. I mean, that's just grammatically incorrect. Not even grammatically, it doesn't make any sense. It logically makes zero sense. Could care less. That's nonsense. What's the other one that really annoys me though? There was two that I always bring up. One is herb, and the other is... No, I've forgotten it. I don't know. My chat's recommending a bunch of different stuff, but I can't remember. I literally said it earlier today. Something that US people say. It's not herb. Don't know. Oh, twat. Yeah, that was it. Pyre of the living. You've got it. You've nailed it in one. Twat. It's one of those words that really bothers me, because twat is such a great insult. It has such, like... I've discussed this before, maybe even on a Q&A, where I was talking about what some of my favourite words are. But a lot of insults have a great mouthfeel, like cunt. It starts with a very explosive consonant, k, and it ends with one, t. And I like shit as well, because sh has a lot of explosive, and t as well. Same with fuck, because it starts with a f. It's a lot of blasting air out of your mouth, and ends with a k, where you're also blasting air out of your mouth. Twat is the same, but you need to keep the vowel sound short. Shit, fuck, cunt, twat. If you say twat, or like especially in US English, twat, that's horrible. You're missing the sharp nature of the insult. So I hate it. I really dislike it. I think it sounds very dumb saying twat. I think that's awful. Okay, anyway, let's carry on. Pogey says, do you think the gap between the top teams and the rest of the teams increased or decreased between this year and last year? I think the skill level in general has increased massively from this year compared to last year. When I watch the VODs from last year, it seems like, first of all, the GOATs instilled a lot of discipline, just naturally because of how the composition works. It makes you really have to use abilities in a very disciplined way, and especially ultimates. If you're just throwing away ults, you're fucking up. Whereas last year, a lot of it came down to putting the players that could make a big impact in the best positions possible. So you would use ults just to make space for your players to maybe pop off, but you don't really know whether they're going to pop off. If you make space for your double sniper, for example, or make space for your... I mean, Widowmaker was basically meta the entire year, but make space for your tracer even. You don't know that they're going to hit those shots. You don't know they're going to be able to find those kills, where there's much less variability in GOATs, so it instills a sense of discipline a bit more. But having said that, the gap between the top teams and the rest of the teams has definitely decreased this year, even though the skill gap, the skill level has gotten higher, because last year you just had NYXL and then dribbly teams, essentially. London were able to hit peaks, Philly were able to hit peaks, but both of those teams finished 5th and 6th in the overall season, which speaks massively to how poor they were in terms of consistency and just their average level. And then the second and third best teams were the LA teams and Boston didn't come online until stage 2 and stage 3. They did okay. Stage 4 they performed pretty poorly. Stage 1 they only peaked towards the end. They were a fairly one-dimensional team. They couldn't do that much that well, and their individual talent apart from Striker was fairly mediocre, and Neko I suppose as well. And both of the LA teams just had a fairly disciplined system, but there's no way that Gladiators and Valiant were anywhere near on the same level as Shock or Titans are right now. So even though the gap has decreased, potentially, when you consider that NYXL had 6 losses over the course of the regular season, they were definitely head and shoulders above everybody else. They made every single stage final. The gap has decreased, but the skill ceiling has increased massively, I would say. So, if the bottom teams keep making moves, what are the chances we have a league with 19 incredibly competitive teams in Houston? Says Dip. Houston are fucked because it doesn't look like they can really make roster changes at the moment. Their organization is being bought out. Who knows whether it's even going to exist in its current form of like Optic, Outlaws, this kind of thing. So yeah, Houston are kind of screwed. I would also say that same thing I've said since the beginning of that team, that Boston were scouted as a weird fucking team. I think they existed last year and managed to sustain themselves because they had a Junkrat Widow meta which fit Jake and Linksa like a glove. But they just existed because the meta absolutely fit them, and even then they only made it into, 7th place overall in the regular season, and end of stage 1 they looked like a pretty decent team, but as soon as Junkrat dropped out, they fucking struggled, man. It was a struggle city for Houston Outlaws. It was diabolical, and it's weird because I've thought that Houston were a pretty bad team for the last year and a half, and year and a half takes us back to January 2018, but but they've kind of plodded through and they've been okay up until recently when everybody has improved to the point where they just look tragic now. But yeah, Houston are in a difficult position. If the bottom teams kept making moves though, I mean, what's the chances that Florida make a decent team? I think it's still pretty low. I think Florida is still pretty low. Even with Fate on board and even with other potential moves, they'd still have to make 3 or 4 moves to be a decent team. Especially if your criteria dip is incredibly competitive. If you wanted a good middle of the pack so that there was no real bottom teams, you'd need Houston, Florida, and Justice to really step up, and Valiant to probably step up a little bit, and then teams at the bottom like Charge to try and find their footing. Now, Charge I believe in. Charge I think can find their footing. If they find a style that fits them, maybe playing Doomfist Goats a little bit more, this kind of stuff, I think they could find some success. Houston, we've already kind of counted out a little bit. It looks like Justice are making moves, and Justice's system has improved since adding Sleepy. I 100% believe that. I think Corey has a long way to go on Zarya, so if they signed a Zarya, then I think Justice could be substantially better. And I think that off-tanks for both Florida and Justice could do with improvement, and they could really look at a lot of people in the Korean scene and pick from there. Okay, let's move on to the next one though, because there was a little bit of discussion in my sub Discord after that question, so we don't just go straight on to the next question. Why doesn't Sideshow have Twitter verification? Shaking my head. ritayahk, I ask myself that every single day. Every single day. The Leogend says, which player who's been stuck in brig jail or benched or playing heroes they aren't as good on are you most excited to see if Goats meta goes? Personally, as a Boston fan from Season 1, I'm excited to see Striker and also colourhex and blase. Plus, who doesn't miss Prophet on DPS? I'd love to see Prophet back on DPS. I think that would be fantastic. The people that I'm most interested to see, really, are the people that I think have potential, but haven't been able to exploit it yet, like colourhex. I think colourhex is a good shout. It's difficult to know where colourhex could be if he wasn't just stuck in a Goats meta. In Australia, I saw him play a bunch of Widowmaker, Pharah, Genji. He looked really competent on those 3 heroes in particular, and he looked like the kind of player that's intelligent enough to have other ones in his wheelhouse as well. I think I would like to see colourhex play in a bunch of different stuff. Also, I'd like to see the classics. So here's another way of taking this question as well. When we were talking to Taimu when we did the Overwatch League Rewind, he said, if the Goats meta disappears even slightly, he's convinced that Widowmaker's going to make a big return. And he also said that Widowmaker players have got massively better since last year. And remember, last year, people were playing Widowmaker basically the whole year. So he said, last year, Widowmaker players weren't that mechanically talented. This year, they've improved a lot. So he's pretty convinced that guys like Striker, guys like himself, Taimu, have massive, and other players that have been on the bench, like maybe Sabiolbi as well, Pine, these kind of players, have just basically been grinding Widowmaker, and they are ready to come back. And if Widowmaker came back in the meta, or if there was even a meta that allowed for Widowmaker, he's convinced we would see some sick shit that we didn't see the last year. I'm slightly skeptical of that viewpoint, because we saw some great Widowmaker play last year. I'm not sure how much really the skill level can increase, and I think that a lot of the players who are playing it at the moment are not factoring in the fact that they are more likely to be heavily pressured in a Widowmaker meta. At the moment, they're playing it in like a bunker comp meta or like a Goats meta, but like Ryan Zarya kind of esque. I feel like they have a lot more room to be able to maneuver. Whereas if they were playing it in something where Widowmaker was key, they'd be under a lot more pressure. JohnBoy88 said, how did it feel getting carried by Bren in the Talent Takedown match? Now, sorry, bear with me for a moment here. Can we run the maths? How many maps did Bren win in the Talent Takedown? I think it was 2 out of 3. Now, how many did I win? 2 out of 2. So who has the higher win rate in the Talent Takedown? I'm pretty sure that was me. I'm pretty sure it was me that had the higher win rate in the Talent Takedown as Zarya. So I think I probably carried. Dip says, who is the most intelligent in-game leader in the Overwatch League? So the weird thing about IGL in Overwatch is that it changes drastically based on the meta. Some of the most intelligent in-game leaders from last year when we were playing dive meta didn't look like they were so useful when it came to playing in the playoffs meta, where it looked like Badoshin had a great fucking read about how that meta worked. And I know it might be quite easy to say the in-game leader from the team that won had the best read, etc, etc, but I mean, maybe the LA Valiant had a very good IGL in Custer when it came to the playoff meta last year. It seemed like Ark or Sabiolbi had a fantastic read. Also, just for a little tangent here, a little Easter egg, I think one of the biggest reasons that NYXL are underperforming this year is that they don't have Sabiolbi in their lineup. When you think back to the teams that have been fantastic throughout the history of the Overwatch League, they've had very strong leaders in game, and that doesn't necessarily mean people that have the most incredible understanding of how the meta works, but people that are emotional leaders, people that get people hyped up back in the game, people that can bring that mentality back in, that are strong, confident leaders and get the best out of the rest of their squad. People like Esker for Lunatic High, and you saw how shit Seoul Dynasty played without him in the team, and how much they were missing that leadership figure. This year, from the few interviews that we've had from NYXL, it seems like they don't really have a vocal leader. If you look back on any of the VODs or listen to any of the comms from last year, even if you don't speak Korean, the amount that Sabiolbi talked and the amount that the rest of the team talked about him as an emotional leader for them was unbelievable. It seemed like he was really one of the guys that was the conduit for the coach into the team. More so perhaps even than Ark or Animo when they were in and we thought of them as the main shot callers. So I could definitely see the fact that Sabiolbi isn't playing being a major impact in the reason why NYXL are dropping so many series that they really shouldn't be dropping. I mean, losing to Atlanta twice and losing to Seoul Dynasty, both of those games were tragic losses for a team with the same kind of caliber as NYXL has. And I think part of that might be because they don't have Sabiolbi there to be doing the same kind of calling. Now, he might not be at the same peak as Nene is if he was to come in. And actually, when Sabiolbi came in, was he playing Brig? I don't know, I can't quite remember. I think he only played one map this entire year. He played on Dorado, he came in with Ark. I think he did play Brig actually. Yeah, I mean, I would have liked to see Sabiolbi on Zarya, but you know, maybe he just doesn't have it. But I think just tying into this idea of IGLs and shot callers within the Overwatch League, so much of it is meta dependent, not just because you have to know the meta to be able to call it, but you have to be able to play the heroes that feature in the meta to be able to even get fielded in the first place. So guys like Sabiolbi, even if they are fantastic leaders within the team, you can't run them all the time if they can't play every hero that might be meta. So, bit difficult. Who are your top 5 Widow players in OWL and why is Bren number 1? Says MorphyAU. Okay, let me try and think. So we got a lot of players that I would name up there. We got Carpe, DM, Sire Player, Fletter and Pine. We got who else? Who else is up there? Chat, tell me. Surefour, actually, genuinely a very good Widowmaker player. Understands the team aspect of Widowmaker and understanding, like, getting information from the rest of your team really well. Linkser, I'm not sure I would put up there. Architect, actually, I'm not sure I would put up there either. I think Architect had a number of games where he popped off, but he didn't show that much Widowmaker. And I'm not sure you can really put him up there in the top 5. Gesture, definitely. Happy. Whoa. Yeah, there's a bunch of people that I think... So here's the weird thing. If we had a Widowmaker meta right now, I think Happy, Bazzy... Happy, Bazzy, DM, Carpe, and maybe Pine might be something, or maybe like, I don't know, Sabi Olby or Striker after he's been practicing so much Widowmaker. I don't know. It's such a difficult question to answer because the only reasonable answer I could give you is who are the best last year. Who are the best this year has to incorporate guys that came up from contenders like Happy and Bazzi, guys that, and DM as well, although DM's played a lot this season as well. Guys that carried on from last season, guys that have been practicing a shit ton from last season who were already decent like Striker but are apparently god tier now, so it's very difficult. I think colourhex has been a pretty decent Widowmaker this season, and colourhex certainly has potential. He looked like he was fantastic in the Australian scene, but doesn't have that many great Widowmaker players in Australia compared to the Overwatch League. Corey, I think, is overrated personally, because the most of the times when Corey popped off, it was against Atlanta or Valiant or something like that, where the teams are too passive to be able to actually apply pressure to Corey. So Corey was just running around completely for free, taking pot shots at people, and it was like they were ignoring there was even a Widowmaker on the field. I think if there was genuinely a Widowmaker meta and people got pressured, Corey would massively drop off. Not just because everybody would be playing Widowmaker and we now get to see the whole range of Widowmaker players in the Overwatch League, but also because he'd be under way more pressure. WhiskeySwan says, what do you think you'll be doing in 10 years, professionally speaking? Trophy husband? God, I'd fucking love to be a trophy husband. Listen, any rich women out there who think they would personality-wise fit with me, goddamn, hit me up. Or maybe hit me up in a while. Not quite now, but hit me up in a couple of years. In 10 years, to genuinely tackle that question, my idea for my career is to continue with stuff like the Overwatch League, to continue with doing on-camera stuff, up until the point where I feel like I've gathered enough. Either I'm not good enough compared to the other people that are on camera, which I can't see coming for a long time, honestly. Or, not to toot my own horn, but just in terms of the amount of people that are actually feasible for on-camera jobs, there really aren't that many. Like, we were trying to think of people that could go into casting and stuff for next season if they were going to massively expand. And the pool is actually rather limited, even though there's that many people trying to go into casting. It seems to be something that people really struggle to get good at. Or people just lack the experience to be able to get good at as well. But in 10 years, I'm probably going to be involved in some sense in production. I really enjoy producing. I like the idea of having a project and creating the project and being able to come up with the ideas of how to make it better and this kind of stuff. So I think probably going into production at some point, probably production in esports, and then maybe producing other things outside of esports as well if I'm able to get that kind of experience. That's a long-term goal anyway. Morphy says, who did Guanzhou start in Stage 3, Rise or Shu? So Rise was previously known as 1J Lee. You guys might know him from Contenders under that name. I think definitely Shu. When you look at Rise and how he performed in Contenders, he was pretty competent. He's pretty good. I don't think he's at the same level as guys like... If you were going to name some of the best Zens to come out of Contenders from not last season, but like when people were picking people up for the Overwatch League, you would have... I mean, Bazzi at some point played a fantastic flex support, but he wasn't really in the running at that point. It was really guys like Violet, Shu, and Twilight. Maybe Repel, who used to play with Element Mystic, but mostly it was Violet, Shu, and Twilight, I would say. Violet looked fantastic as an upcoming talent. Shu also looked monumental, both when he was playing in Contenders in Korea and then when he moved over to play for Toronto Esports, he looked fantastic. 1J Lee looked decent, but not at the same kind of level as those guys. Now, I would say, though, that 1J Lee, as he's now known Rise in Overwatch League, would look very good on some of the teams that are struggling to find flex supports, because they already have Shu on Guangzhou, and Guangzhou are a team that don't have that much talent. So if they can find a trade somewhere, I mean, who needs a flex support at the moment? I can't even. Maybe, I mean, maybe Florida. But honestly, Hagapyeon hasn't been too bad. Did Hagapyeon leave Florida? I can't even remember what kind of changes have happened in the last few weeks, because we had All-Stars where I just ignored all of the bottom teams, and then the 3-week break. So honestly, there were a couple of changes, like the whole Mayhem Valiant roster shift and stuff, that I haven't really put that much thought into. Who else? I don't know. But anyway, I think that Rise could be a decent team for one of these guys that's missing like a decent flex support. Anyway, let's take a look at some other questions. Morphy asked a question about the 222 lock, but I'm still planning to do a full, very in-depth video about that at some point. So I'll leave that question just for now. Formation says, a giant hulking, meaty, sweaty truck driver. Jesus, don't get me too warm. Who just finished a cross-continental drive challenges you to a 1v1 IRL. Your options are A, a knife fight, B, spin the bottle, or C, hosting a Team Fortress.tv event at DreamHack. Which do you choose? Okay, a giant hulking, meaty, sweaty truck driver who just finished a cross-continental drive. So he's sweaty. He's probably tired if he just finished the drive, and he's big. I reckon I could fuck him up in a knife fight. Knife fights are probably mostly about who's faster, so I'd challenge him to a knife fight, and I'd gut him from his larynx to his sex. Okay, so next question. Tygur Triple says, if you had the opportunity like Bren to face a pro, who would it be and what would be the game type? So I already beat Jonathan at a Pharaoh 1v1. I already beat Reinforce, a former #1 in the world in terms of his team player. So I dominated him in a Pharaoh v Pharaoh, and I dominated him in a Zen v Zen. I also nearly beat Finzi in a 1-to-5 Zen v Zen. So I'm pretty sure I could take on any pro that's pretty shit at those two heroes and shit on them. I feel very confident about that. Like, I'm pretty sure I could take like a... I reckon I could beat Custer in a Pharaoh 1v1. And I'm pretty sure that I could beat like... Who could I beat in a Zen 1v1 that I feel confident about? Who do you think? Super. I could beat Super in a Zen 1v1. Yeah, I feel very confident I could beat Super in a Zen 1v1. So there you go. That's who I would contest. Who is this actually? Champions. Oh, Weagle. Weagle says, with Valiant presumably going full Western, who do you think should pick up Izayaki and Bunny? Now, I think the entire premise is wrong here. I don't think Valiant are going full Western. I think Valiant made shifts to transition themselves away from being a Korean. So there's something that I think a lot of fans don't understand, is like there's a Western and a Korean mentality in terms of how you coach and how your team is structured, and then there's just being like full Western, full Korean. So a bunch of mixed teams have Korean mentalities, and Valiant was one of them underneath Coach Moon, and with Fate as their shot caller. But having moved away from Moon and Fate, I think Valiant now have more of a Western approach, where they're trying to put more resources in their kind of mixed roster rather than the Korean players, and thinking of the Western players as like fill-ins. Weirdly, I think Shock is a team that has quite a mixed understanding of how that works, and maybe even like more of a Western than a Korean. Certainly more Western than Valiant was. So I think the changes that they've made are just to go to more of a balanced or mixed approach rather than going full Western. I don't think they're going to drop Izayaki and Bunny. I think they might even... I mean, if we're just going to theorycraft for a moment, I think LA Valiant might even be better if they did try and trade Izayaki, because Kariv's pretty capable on the Zen and might even have better overall gameplay than Izayaki. Even though Izayaki seems like a better fragger, Kariv can hit his shots, and he just seems to have a better understanding of how the team works and when to ult than Izayaki does. So we'll see if that changes with Fate out of the picture and Fact Fiction in, but who knows? Who knows? Okay, next question. There was a bit of a discussion about the LA Valiant in my chat at the moment. I get this question all the time, actually, weirdly. Morphy says, "Hey Sideshow, it's 3:30 AM and I need to be up in 3 hours. In your expert almost became a doctor but got kicked out opinion, is it better if I stay up for 3 hours and tackle the day with no sleep, or try and go to sleep?" I've heard this question so many times. It is always better to go to sleep. I know it might not feel like it when you wake up in the morning, but assuming you get through that first initial wake up, it is always better to go to sleep. It is never better to try and stay up, because you are fine until like 9 AM, 10 AM, and then you crash, and it's horrific if you actually want to do anything in the day. Just please, for the love of God, go to sleep. It's always bad to stay up. It's always bad, and I always used to talk myself into it when I was actually a med student, staying up for either exams or lessons or shit like that, and the amount of time I slept through classes because I couldn't survive after like 11 AM or something was unbelievable. It was so bad. But please, go to sleep. Drink water and sleep. And if you're studying for an exam, cram up until there are like 8 hours left in the night, and eat a bunch of what is it called, like carbohydrates, so that your glucose levels are high. Drink a lot of water, go to sleep. Eat when you get up in the morning, drink when you get up in the morning. Make sure that your brain has fuel. Make sure that your brain is well slept so that you can actually recall the stuff that you've learned. Because most of the stuff that you cram is not going to be on the top of your brain. The stuff that you're going to recall in the exam is stuff that you're dredging up from multiple iterations. You need the synapses to be able to recall things that you've programmed in there over the course of the last months. Learn from these mistakes, please, for the love of God. Alright, anyway. Salnut said, "What question do you really want to answer but no one has ever asked?" I'm not going to... I know that that's like the cheating kind of question. I'm not going to put in the kind of effort to try and think of what the perfect question would be. There's a bunch of things that I'm going to talk about at some point that nobody's ever asked me about, but I will talk about them at some point. Somebody asked me some pretty personal stuff in a YouTube video once that I will get around to answering at some point, but I need to be not in the right place, but I need to just think of the best way of phrasing it. But anyway, not gonna answer it now. "How well do you think a Justice team would do," says Dip, "with Nevix and Panka, two, in my opinion, very good talents on the bench?" I think those could be great pickups for the Justice. If Justice were willing to pick up Nevix, if they had the money for Nevix, I think Nevix is possibly the most overlooked player in the entirety of the Overwatch League. People forget how good he was when he played last season, and you're comparing him to Cheobin, who is working under Krusty, is being coached, has the Korean synergy to be able to match up with the other players within the team. Nevix doesn't talk that much, which is the only criticism I've ever heard of him. Outside of that, all I've heard is that he's a god. He leveled up massively in this off-season. I think Nevix might be the best player on the bench, maybe in the entire league, for this meta. Because I'm pretty sure you could put Nevix in over Cheobin, and you wouldn't see that much of a difference in terms of the San Francisco shock. I think Nevix is that good. I think Cheobin's fantastic. You might notice a little bit of a downtick in terms of like big clutch plays, the real clutch boops that he does to be able to relieve pressure, or like certain eats that he has, because Cheobin's unbelievable with the amount of stuff that he eats, but Nevix seems, from everything that I know and from everything I've seen from him last season and a little bit in the off-season, seems nuts. I really think that would be a fantastic pickup for any team that was looking for an upgrade in the off-tank, other than perhaps like Atlanta with Darko or the other top 3 teams. And Panka seems pretty decent as well, although this contender season he didn't perform that well, but maybe more to do with his team. Let me see. Bushki says, do you think there's a market for players who are one-tricks or have weird hero pools in OWL? Or do you think those players should work on their flexibility if they want to make it to OWL? The weird thing about this is it's so dependent on what meta is being played. If you're a one trick that suddenly comes up, like if you're, let's use Mangachu for example, because I think the impetus for asking this question was that a lot of the Mayhem Academy players got released, and Mangachu is one of the players that people keep saying, why not just take a punt on Mangachu? He plays so much weird shit that if you just want a strat that's around one of the heroes he plays, like say you want a Torb strat, Torb's really powerful at the moment. He's like a fucking better McCree if you play him at an OWL level. Pharah, if there's like a Pharah Mercy meta that comes out, like why not have him in that kind of position? So it's one of those situations where it all comes down to what meta is being played, and a lot of people who are running these teams don't feel comfortable, I think, spending at least 50k a year on a player they're not sure they're going to run, that doesn't really fill holes in terms of being safe, just feels like a maybe weird niche pickup if the meta tends to go that way. And it's very difficult to predict the meta. People coming into stage 2 thought that we would be playing a butt ton of bunker compositions instead of the goats comps, but at the end of the day people figure out how to play goats comps into it. People last year didn't know what meta was going to be played at any point during the year. It's only at this point now that we're realizing that it's probably going to be goats for the rest of 2019, and that has its own different repercussions. Like, why the fuck do you want to pick up a guy like Mangachu now if you know that it's going to be goats for the rest of the year? Turbo Brick says, what are you going to do in stage 3 when you lose Bren to WoW Classic? Probably just complete Sekiro on my own. I've been waiting to complete this Sekiro race for a month, maybe more. And we're both down to the final boss, and Brennan, the problem hook, will not play. Will not play. I can't get him to play. He'll either play Risk, OWL Classic, Risk, Ranked, or WoW Classic. Anything else? Out of the question. Okay, what is your opinion, says Overwatch Time, who is otherwise known as Denim. What is your opinion on Toronto changing to a mixed roster? Will the addition of these players lead to a better team, or will the difficulty with the communication be too much? A lot of the players that played on Toronto have actually already played in mixed teams in the past. Neko and Envy, for example. Ivy speaks fluent English. Sorry, not Ivy. I'm 37 speaks fluent English, but I doubt he'll get playtime, honestly. But maybe. And I think the addition of Sharyk will just be decent to try and fill in for Yakpung, who's really struggling at the moment. So I don't really see communication being that much of an issue. If anything, it's just the fact that Toronto are going to have to reset their entire structure, both in terms of communication, but also in terms of who's going to be playing what roles, building teamwork and synergy up again. And in a meta where it's goats and basically you just want the same 6 people and you want to work on synergy with those 6 people from then on out, it's so important to keep the same roster, and Toronto have mixed their roster up every single stage. So I mean, stage 2 wasn't really their fault. They had Asher retire, but eesh, it doesn't look good for them. Let's scroll through a little bit because I can't answer some of these questions. Precocious says, did you change your voice in the OG Shatter Tactics video to become more American? So what she means is there are these tactics videos being produced by the Overwatch League, which so the Overwatch League tends to just spam its YouTube channel. The Overwatch League YouTube channel is not particularly well run. It just uploads a butt ton of like clips from random clips from the Watchpoint shows and VODs of the games that happen every day, but also occasionally it uploads like really useful, interesting videos that are like either features that were run during the show, or these tactics videos that are like action esports tactics videos, and they are dope. And I'm not just saying that because I do the voiceovers for most of them. They are actually really sick. It's not me that comes up with the analysis for them, or at least I could come up with the analysis for them, but I don't tend to. It's some of the other people that work on it, particularly a guy called Josh, tends to do a lot of that. So, and when I was recording the voiceovers for them, I did, my normal voice. I was like, say the line was something like, I don't know, Earth Shatter is a really key ability to be able to cause havoc to the enemy team. I did the Earth Shatter is a really important ability to be able to cause havoc to the enemy team. And then I also did one that was like, Earth Shatter is a really important ability to be able to cause havoc to the enemy team. And for some reason, Josh really liked my like fucking dumb US trailer accent. Not trailer as in lives in a trailer, but trailer as in like the kind of like, it's like the voice they use for introing X Factor people, or like the voice they use in trailers. Where, yeah, like movie trailers where it's like, when the world has gone to shit, and only OG with his Earth Shatter can save it. Who will be there to pick up the pieces? Like that kind of dumb shit. So I just did like, I did a bunch of those, and he decided he liked it, so he used it for that video. He called it Scary Sideshow. I don't consider it. In a world where Overwatch League rests on one player's shoulders, where Rascal's Brigida is not enough, he must go to Batiste. Okay, where the fuck am I going with that? Anyway, whatever. What are your thoughts on the Sideshow Overwatch meme? Okay, I knew that the Sideshow Overwatch meme had gone too far when the local bar that we went to all last year, we spent 50% of our human living time at that bar. It's a bar called Guildhall in Burbank. And our Wi-Fi at our apartment is called Not Guildhall, because we would either be attached to the Guildhall at the Wi-Fi at Guildhall, or the Wi-Fi here at Not Guildhall, and we would either exist in those two places. So the reason that I knew that the Sideshow Overwatch meme had gone too far is that bar framed a photo of the Sideshow Overwatch picture, and then Nate Nanza took a selfie with it while I was in the UK and couldn't get my visa. While I was stuck in the UK, the commissioner of the Overwatch League took a selfie with me as a 15-year-old boy framed in a bar that we spent all of our time in last year. I mean, what the fuck? What the fuck? It's just gone too far at that point. Fucking mental. Alright. Okay. Let me... let me try and find another one. That's interesting. Morphy says, Baroy, who is the analyst for the Toronto Defiant, said on the Tactical Crouch podcast this week that Gods and Sharyk are likely to be starting for Stage 3. What do you make of this starting 6 change, given Envy's experience and mechanics? Do you think it's risky for Toronto to change the front line halfway into the season? Now, I've already kind of covered the second half of that question. I do think it's it's not so much risky because Toronto are having problems and they would have probably just slowly declined if they had stuck with the same roster. So they're making moves, not too drastic, not too crazy, but they're making some moves to try and improve themselves. It is kind of risky just because that's the nature of GOATs, that you want to try and stick with the same core 6. But how do I think this will work? I think I think the Sharyk's a pretty stable main tank. I think he's got a good idea of how to play both the Reinhardt and the Winston. It seemed like Yakpung was really struggling, especially on the Reinhardt. He didn't look like he had any idea of how to take advantage of opportunities or just be proactive with main tank. He was a very passive main tank. He just kind of sat there, held shield, waited for the rest of his team to do stuff, and then he'd try and do something. And most of the time he just got chewed up. It almost seemed like they were using Yakpung as bait, but not in the same way that like Titans do, where Bumper goes aggressive and gets a lot of value and then they bait him. Yakpung was just stood there just holding his shield until he died, and then the rest of the team had to do something with the fact that everyone had committed to killing Yakpung. I think it will be a fairly competent team. I think my concerns are, it looks like they're probably going to be running with Aid, because Aid speaks more English as far as I'm aware. So Aid seemed like the worst main support just by a little bit compared to Roki. So maybe that affects something. And also, what do they do in terms of implementing Gods into the lineup? Who is Gods replacing? Do they want to mix around the roles a little bit? Is Gods going to be playing his classic role? Does that shift Ivy or I'm 37 around a little bit? Does Ivy speak enough English to be able to communicate with the rest of the team? Because Ivy is definitely the player that you want to be building this team around. Difficult. Oki says, is Trill going to get playtime over OG? Now, I don't have any inside information into the workings of the Dallas Fuel, but I would imagine no is the answer to that question. OG seems like a very, very talented main tank, and even though Trill's very good and he'll be able to play without ping, it seemed to me like the kind of move where Trill would be gaining experience from learning from Dallas Fuel, but also be traded potentially to somewhere else. Like, it felt to me like Trill was moved up into Dallas to be traded somewhere else. But the most obvious choice was the LA Valiant, and LA Valiant already picked up Fact Fiction. Would I have picked up Fact Fiction over Trill? No, I would have picked up Trill. Especially because then you have the god duo of Custer and Trill. Who the fuck is going to beat that? Absolutely nobody. But if Trill does stay on Dallas, I can't really see him getting main game time, and I can't really see him getting that much scrim time, because Taimu said he got a little bit of scrim time recently, but generally speaking, almost every team in the GOATS metup just plays with their default 6. Even the teams that could scrim with 6 players on either side don't tend to, and even the teams that were doing a lot of subbing last year don't tend to. Even Seoul Dynasty, who were playing with 2 set teams and not 2 non-overlapping teams. There were still players that overlapped, like Toby. Wait, no, not Toby. Jaehong and Michelle. No. Yeah, Michelle was overlapping for a little bit. Who am I thinking of? I think it was Jaehong and Fleta were overlapping for a while. Anyway, even Seoul don't really make changes anymore. Most teams try and stick to their default 6, so I would be surprised if Trill did get game time. I thought it was going to be that Trill was going to get traded, but it doesn't look likely because I can't think of a default place that Trill would go to. But I hope that Trill does learn and gets scrim time and gets that experience, because he's a main tank with a lot of potential. Okay. Tygur Triple 7 says, what if any game changes to the gameplay method do you see coming for Stage 3? The only change I can see coming for Stage 3 would be a rise in bunker compositions. I don't think there's going to be that much change outside of that. Maybe more teams implementing Batiste into their compositions, like we've seen a lot of play from Shock. I could see some teams experimenting with Doomfist or Sombra in different ways. For example, copying the Korean Contenders teams and playing Attack Sombra on hybrid maps in a much more aggressive way to charge EMPs very quickly. I could see that becoming the meta. I could also see teams trying to run Doomfist if their team is too shit at running goats, like a Guangzhou Charge, for example. I could see them running Doomfist goats. Maybe Houston try something. Maybe Florida try something, but then again, Florida have just kind of gotten rid of the players that would play those kind of flex roles. I mean, Fick is out, so is Apply, so I don't know really. Wait, Apply? Am I losing my mind? For a moment there, I'm like, did Apply play for Florida? Am I fucking crazy? Am I going mental? Yeah, he played for Florida. Jeez, sometimes I just have these like brain farts where I completely forget who players play for, or like I don't forget, I say it, but I'm like, wait, am I wrong? I doubt myself too often. I'm always correct. Just believe in yourself, Sideshow. If you watch this VOD back, future Sideshow, you're always right. Just have a bit of faith, eh? Have a bit of faith, eh? Just keep the faith. All right. Anyway. Formation says, would you rather eat dog food or bull penis? I would absolutely 100% rather eat dog food. Bull penis was the worst thing I've ever put in my mouth, and I've put some weird shit in my mouth. I had 5 centimeters of bull penis, boiled for 3 hours and dipped in barbecue sauce, and it was the most horrific experience of my entire life. But bull penis properly cooked, which I think they call something like cow cod soup or something like that, is actually a delicacy, I think, in Chinese cuisine. So unless you're stupid as fuck like me and try and boil a bull pizzle dog treat, then probably bull penis is actually pretty decent. So there you go. My chat is all telling me that I'm wrong for believing in myself, but there you go. Was it in fact the worst genitalia you've ever tasted? Says Deadly Gases. Yes, it was. By virtue of it being the worst thing that was in my mouth, it would have to be the worst genitalia I've ever tasted. I've never really tasted genitalia that's been that bad. It's all been pretty decent. There we go. Possibly too much information. Captain James T. Kink says, for some reason, do you have a dog breed or dog breeds that you like, or are you more of a mutt person? My dog is a Lhasa Apso, and I fucking love it. It's like a Shih Tzu, but with the longer face. But I tend to think of it the other way around. After living with a Lhasa Apso for many years, whenever I see a Shih Tzu, it looks like someone slapped it in the face with a frying pan. Shih Tzus to me look fairly ugly, because I'm used to a Lhasa Apso. They're bloody lovely. Listen, Kamla78, I ain't DJ Khaled. I mangé the genitalia. Anyway, again, far too much information. Let's move on. The other dog breeds, what else do I really like? My grandmother recently got a poodle, and that was gorgeous. I mean, such a beautiful dog, but it was too boisterous. It was too boisterous. All right. Let me carry on. There's a lot of questions still here. Actually, there's not that many. Let me... Wow, Morphy's got a long question here, but I'm going to have to save that for another time. Morphy says, hello, Sideshow. Please tell Formation I called him a cunt. That's not a question. That's not a question. That's not a question. Okay, so final question is this crazy one by Morphy. He says, after the last few days of following the Atlantic Showdown and following contenders over the past 6 months, I'm inclined to believe that Sweden could potentially be the best performing European country in the Overwatch World Cup coming up at the end of the year. France, UK and Finland have decent players, but have more holes in their teams than Sweden. In fact, the only question mark I have over their team is who ends up being the coach, and who plays flex support after Chip's disappearance from professional Overwatch. He never formally retired. Well, Chip's definitely retired, it just wasn't formally. I don't even think that is pre-Atlantic Showdown. I mean, I think that is post-Atlantic Showdown as well. The Swedish players were okay. They were pretty decent. The coaching position is likely to be between Peak, Swoosh, and Mineral. All three have experience but unconvincing results. Between the three of them, I'd be inclined to go for Mineral. I think Swoosh has the experience of being a pro player, but hasn't actually coached a top team. Peaks spent a long time without coaching a top team. I can see the community not really respecting Mineral after the Florida Mayhem fiasco, but I think Florida Mayhem had so many problems that I would be more inclined to support Mineral personally than either of the other two. But I'd probably support Mineral, then Peak, then Swoosh. And I'm not saying that Swoosh is bad. I think Swoosh is probably pretty decent, but I do think all three have reasonable experience in that department. Is there nobody else that coaches European contenders that is Swedish? I don't know. I don't really know the nationalities of the coaches. Anyway, so then you have Luddy on main support, who's excellent for Angry Titans and the Gladiators Legion. Yeah, okay. Luddy, pretty decent. DPS is pretty stacked with Snillo and Sharp. Can Sharp actually play in the World Cup this year? Is Sharp over the age of 18? Because I know this year there was something weird about them having to be 18, right? For the Overwatch World Cup. So, I'm not even sure whether Sharp can play. Yeah, Sharp is 17 and won't turn 18 until December, so it looks like Sharp won't even be able to play. I would agree with you that Sharp looked like a very, very good Zarya player, but it looks like he's not going to be available to play. So I'm not really sure who you would have. Is there another? I mean, I can't even think of all of the Swedish players. Is there somebody else that you would have on DPS to play the Zarya or something? I don't know. But yeah, if you had Snillo plus somebody else, if there was there, I would be inclined, honestly, as crazy as this sounds, I would be inclined to put Elevote on off-tank, because Elevote seems like he's a pretty decent off-tank. And I would put Nevix probably on flex support, because I think Nevix is a very intelligent player and has played flex support in the past. And as long as he's fixed his issue with just communicating with people, if you don't have somebody that's a good... Oh, Bokken! No, you have Bocket! Bocket plays flex support. Well, now you do have a conundrum, because you've got Bocket on flex support, Luddy on main support, and you've got two pretty decent off-tanks in Elevote and Nevix. People might be more inclined to put Elevote in there because he's had success with, I mean, a bunch of different teams. But I think Nevix is probably better than him, even though Nevix hasn't really played. But anyway, Lulsish is getting better. Lulsish is looking pretty decent. So yeah, I guess it all comes down to who plays DPS. So maybe Nevix would be a decent shout for that, but I don't think Nevix has played DPS in a long time, particularly in this meta. I think he's just grinded Diva, so I don't think that I would put Nevix on Zarya. But maybe he'd be alright at playing it. Is there really no other Swedish DPS player to fill in for that role? Anybody? Anybody in my chat? Can you think of somebody that would be decent? Dunno. Kamla78, thank you for the tier 1 sub. I'll go through some other people that are subbed afterwards as well. Well, I can't think of anybody. Zebasai. Yeah, when Zebasai comes back from TF2, he can play Zarya for them. Well, there you go. Well, there's a subscriber Q&A. Bopped it out. Absolutely bopped it out. Tvik? Possibly. I think Tvik kind of struggles in roles where he thinks that he should be the leader. Anyway, there's the subscriber Q&A from this week. I am currently at 2,900, sat in plat. It pains me to admit that, but I absolutely threw myself down to plat. Couldn't even be hard carried. I will get back out of plat. And also for anybody that's managed to make it to the end of this video and is wondering, there might not be one next week. I'm not going to lie to you. I said that I was going to do these every week. I'm intending to, but who knows at the end of the day? Who fucking knows?